Hi! Welcome to Books and Helena. I'm Helena, and today we're going to go through my May wrap-up and also some books that I hauled again this month. First and foremost, I am now getting over a cold. It's ironic since yesterday was the 2-week anniversary of my second COVID vaccine dose, which is when you're fully vaccinated and you're free to do whatever, I don't know. And that's when I got sick. So without further ado, let's get into the haul portion of this video because I am dying to share everything that I read for this month. While I was at Target, I got The Hunting Party by Oh, you can't even see her name. By Lucy Foley, I believe. Oh, can I pull it off? Watch, it's gonna be like all, you know, the sticker residue and all nasty. Oh my gosh. That came off. There's no sticky on here. Right, so I got The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, if that's how you pronounce her name. This, I explained it to, I don't remember who I was talking to about this, but it was like The Breakfast Club, but like if they got put in a murder mystery. Because on the back, it says, the beautiful one, the golden couple, the volatile one, the new parents, the quiet one, the city boy, the outsider. One of these friends is a murderer, and one will make it out alive. So basically, this group of friends, they go to like this winter cabin, I believe, and someone ends up dead. It's a whodunit, basically. And then also, you know, like, uh-oh, we're with a murderer, and someone just got killed. And then the next book, I have been looking for this book for a while now, and it was at Target when I went, and I was so excited. And that book is Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen Killgariff and Georgia Hardstark. My Favorite Murder is my favorite podcast of all time. I want to thank my friend Mackenzie for putting me on with them. I definitely recommend that podcast if you love true crime and comedy. But there's this one quote that they say, we don't think that murder is funny. We don't think that people getting killed is funny. We just think that we are funny. And they're right. So hooray. If you know, you know. This is like their dual memoir, so both of their lives in here, and I am so excited because I love them so much. And then another book that I got was this edition of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I don't actually know the plot of this book because I mixed this one up with Jane Eyre, and these are not the same things. But both Bronte. At least I had that going for me. And then I also got a physical copy of Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas, and this is one that I will be reading this month as well. As a matter of fact, this is going to be my next current read, but I'll get to that later. And then I also got a physical copy of You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. And I don't remember if I talked about this already, but I have it now. And so the last book that I hauled 2 copies of, actually, from my trip to Barnes & Noble 2 days ago was The Prison Healer by Lynette, by my homie Lynette. I was on FaceTime with my friend Joey during the majority of my endeavor to Barnes & Noble, and I wanted them to help me pick a book, and so we ended up wanting to buddy read this because it just sounded so interesting. So in this one, our main character, I think her name is Kiva, has been in this very deadly prison for years now, and the rebel queen of this fantastical kingdom gets sent there or gets wrongfully imprisoned for something, and basically Kiva has to keep her alive, and she's been working as the prison healer in this prison. And in order to kind of break free or like get freed from this prison, they have to go through these like trials or like a fight club of sorts, but the queen can't really do this, and like the prison healer Kiva has to like keep her alive and then go through these trials of sorts. So it just sounds really interesting. There's no way I did that justice, but also there may be a romance in here between Kiva and someone. When Joey and I were in the store, when I was in the store and Joey was on the phone, we read the back cover. And it says, the message was clear. Don't let her die. We are coming. Kiva's breath caught as those final 3 words repeated in her mind. We are coming, we are coming, we are coming. I mean, like, first of all, there's more, but I'm not gonna read that. You can literally look it up. But, okay, moving forward, the books that I did read this month, I'm so excited because I was able to accomplish so much more than I think I've ever read in a month. I'm absolutely elated. My face may not show it, but I am elated. Okay, the first book I'm currently lending out to my sister, and that is Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. So this book follows Winnie as she finds this hidden secret spring with water that makes you immortal. So this spring has been kept a secret for decades, essentially, since it can make you immortal, and one family discovered this by accident and have been living as immortals ever since, having to move from town to town so people don't suspect anything from them, and that is the Tuck family. So they find out that Winnie found out about this spring, and so they have to kind of go on this adventure together to figure out what they're gonna do about this, and there's a murder in there and it gets crazy. I watched the adaptation of this on Disney Plus. For some reason I thought Matt Dillon was in it. He's definitely not. And it was made in 2002. That part is not entirely important, but it kind of is if you want to know the vibe of that movie. It did change a lot. For one, Winnie is no longer like 10 years old in the film. She's 15 apparently, which is still worrisome to me. There's a romance in it, in the movie, not the book, unless you count like the tuck parent. Okay, anyway, the movie was not all that I expected. I liked the book fairly enough. It was okay. It wasn't the most exciting book, but it was also very short, and I think it is middle grade despite the part where someone gets killed. Overall, it was very entertaining, and I really like the premise of it and immortality, and there is definitely like some philosophy of living and, you know, life and death, the circle of life discussed, and I thought that part was actually very interesting. In the movie, they did touch on that. I just don't think it impacted as much as the book did, but, you know, that's just my opinion. Okay, so then the next book that I read was Tell It to the Bees by Fiona Shaw. This book I did give back to my friend Emily since she lent it to me. It was a fun read, in a way. It was very entertaining. And so this book follows Lydia as her marriage kind of fails, and at one point her son Charlie befriends the town's doctor Jean, and Jean is a woman, and eventually Jean and Lydia become friends. Jean and Lydia end up falling in love, and it's the 50s in England. It is a very tricky situation that they are placed in and can be very dangerous to them, and basically kind of just follows them throughout navigating their relationship and also just navigating the town and the gossip that springs up. And it also follows Charlie a lot and the impact that the relationship has on him and the familial dynamic that he has to endure with his father, who kind of sucks, by the way. Yeah, the book overall, I think that the pacing did get a little bit weird, but overall, I think it was fine. There is also a film adaptation of this, and Emily and I are going to watch it at some time, and based on her reactions, I don't think it's as good as the book, so I'm kind of scared, but also very intrigued. So, that is Tell It to the Bees by Fiona Shaw. The next book of sorts is Selected Poems of Emily Dickinson, and as you may assume, this is all written by Emily Dickinson. Funnily enough, my friend Emily also lent this to me this month, and this poetry collection was, I mean, honestly immaculate, of course, because it is Emily Dickinson, and I really did love it. Since this is not a book that I own, I did take pictures of, like, my favorite poems from it. Yeah, I don't really know how else to talk about a poetry collection other than, like, I really liked it, because there's so many varying topics that Emily Dickinson goes into, and she obviously eloquently and just beautifully writes about each of them, like her prose. Immaculate. Okay, besties, the next book that I finished was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So I'm currently lending this out to my mom, so this is her place in it. This was a reread for me. I had to read this for school, and I enjoyed it pretty much as I did the first time, if not a little bit more, since it's actually the 20s now, or maybe less because it's actually the 20s now, and it ended up being very disappointing. This book, if you don't know, follows Nick Carraway as he moves into the fictional West Egg. He moves next door to Gatsby, who throws these amazing, like, just awesome parties. There's forbidden romance, there's murder, there's crazy parties, rich people problems. I mean, Great Gatsby. It is a short book, so I definitely recommend if you wanted to start into classics, this one is a good way to go. It definitely isn't as dense as some classics tend to be. This is a very accessible piece of literature. Not to mention the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire, a good one, in my opinion. So yeah, Great Gatsby. And if you tuned in to my May TBR, you know that I also participated in 2 readathons this month. So the first readathon I participated in was for the Dark Academics Book Club, or the DA. There were different prompts for that, but I'll just go over what books I read. The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I managed to get the plot on this so wrong, even though I had almost no idea what it was about. Okay? What I'm gonna say about this. Is it a ghost? Is it a man? Is it a zombie? Is it a spirit of some sort? Is he an angel? A demon? A devil? You tell me. I don't know. They don't know either. It's a mystery. This book, it's so much more than I originally thought it was going to be. It was so much more complex than I thought it was going to be, and the characters in it, there's some great moments in here. I actually got a little emotional towards the end. This is by no means a plot summary of this book because honestly, I think going into it blind was kind of the best thing for me. Like, I didn't really have that many expectations, and then even the expectations I had get kind of blown away in like a good way though. So yeah, now I can't wait to watch an adaptation of this, like the musical or something. Definitely not a new favorite, but this is one that I do want to reread just to like to go at it at a different angle and just see what else I can gain from reading this. So that is the Phantom. So that is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. And for the GA Readathon, I also read The Broken Wings by Khalil Gibran. Oh my goodness, this book was so good. The writing in this was something so, I don't even know. I don't think I've read anything like it. And you're going to hear me say that for 2 more books in this wrap-up, because each of these authors, they just have such beautiful prose. This book is a very tragic romance between 2 characters. That's all I really want to say, because if you do plan to pick this up, I think that's just all you really need to know. But the writing in this is so beautiful. This book was originally written in Arabic, so I just want to give props to the translator, Anthony R. Ferris. I don't think I'll ever be able to get over just how beautiful this was, and even though I didn't cry, I was definitely quite moved by this, and I do hope to pick up The Prophet soon, which is also written by Khalil Gibran, because this book was magnificent. So that is The Broken Wings by Khalil Gibran. Okay, and then the final thing that I read for the Dark Academics Book Club Readathon was 50 Things You Should Know About the Vietnam War. This book I didn't rate on Goodreads. It's a nonfiction about the Vietnam War. I thought I'd finally read it cover to cover since I have read bits and pieces in here. It is informative to a degree. I don't think enough was touched on the long-lasting effects that the war had in Vietnam and on the Vietnamese population, the people, but it does touch on some effects of Agent Orange and napalm and jungles, whatnot, but not to a degree that I think is necessary, given how big of an effect that it's having today still. But, I mean, overall, it was a quick read. I mean, it really could not get that in depth, and definitely guided towards a younger age. And as for the second readathon I participated in, that was Do-The-Thing-a-Thon, and this readathon really had me productive. 1984 by George Orwell. So this has been on my TBR for, I think, a few years now. I had an idea of what this book was about, although that does not mean it was the right idea of what it was about. But I got through this with an audiobook while also physically reading it, just because it really did drag in the beginning for me. I don't know why I'm holding a fist like it made me physically angry. It really didn't. It just kind of dragged at first. So this book follows our main protagonist, Winston, through a very totalitarian society that he lives in his region of the world, which is called Oceania, because the world is now split into like 3 different like regions, I guess you could call them. Basically, there's this idea of like the thought police and Big Brother's watching, and it's this whole thing. He basically like breaks all these rules, and he gets himself a love interest, and her name is Julia, and they kind of mess things up and disturb the status quo and go against all these rules and stuff. Definitely a commentary on communism, if that's not kind of a well-known fact, but that is it. It's about communism. I'm not a book reviewer, can you tell? No? Yeah. I mean, it was interesting, but it definitely didn't need to be this long. It was almost 300 pages. I think it could have done well without like 100 of them. This makes it sound like I really did not like this book, but it was fine. I only actively disliked the beginning, just because it was kind of boring and dragged. But once we got more into like the action and like the actual plot, it was fine. The next thing I read for Do-The-Thing-a-Thon was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. And you guys, this has become one of my new favorite books of like all time. Look, the characters in this, I can't even begin to explain how much I love them and how much I care about them. No words can describe. So basically, this book follows essentially right after the events of Six of Crows, so I don't really want to go into the plot of Crooked Kingdom, so I'll just kind of briefly explain Six of Crows. So, these characters, they all kind of come together in this, I want to say urban fantasy world, because it's not like epic high fantasy, but they come together for a heist, like it's supposed to be super dangerous, very risky heist. It's like an adventure together, and it's really fun. And then I also continued the Brown Sisters trilogy by reading, take a hint Danny Brown. Take a Hint, Danny Brown follows the middle sister in the Brown family, and she's like this very academic, hardworking kind of person. She works at this university or college while she's trying to get her PhD. And so one day during her building's fire drill, she gets stuck in the elevator for it, and the building security guard, Zaf, goes and essentially saves her, and they get recorded in this endeavor and they go viral. And since they go viral, they kind of reap the benefits of this fake relationship that they have, and of course they catch feelings. This, I have to admit, was not my favorite so far. I did like Get a Life Chloe Brown better, but I definitely still really loved it, and I think it shows some important representation not only in people of color but also in sexuality, because Danny is bi, and then also in the fact that Zaf, our main hero, the guy, he has anxiety, and you see how he deals with it and how he deals with toxic masculinity in society, and it's lovely. It's lovely. Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. And in a massive turn of events, I was actually so productive in these readathons that I managed to get to one of the books that I've had on my TBR since April, I think, and that is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. This book, oh my goodness. This is one of the other books that I wanted to talk about the writing in. Essentially, it follows this family in 2 different timelines. So we have like a present day, which is like the 90s or something, and then we have 1969. And in 1969, there's an event that happens in the family, and this affects the family in a way that everything that happens after are these huge main events, and it kind of tears them apart in like the worst of ways. There are content warnings that you would want to look up for this, because there's definitely a lot in here to unpack, to even begin explaining. But essentially, this centers around these twins, Esther and Rahel, and their point of views throughout these times. Yeah, it's crazy. It follows some strong family dynamics, forbidden love. This is not a book that I recommend to everyone just because of the content warnings in this and how dense but then at the same time lush the writing is. This is really well with an audiobook just because the different languages featured in here, and there's just so many points where it's essentially just poetry written, but it's not written in verse, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut this here because there's no way that I can adequately describe this at all to you. That is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. So having finished essentially my entire TBR for the month, I decided to pick up another book last night just to get a head start on my June TBR, so perhaps I could throw in some more. I ended up finishing it today, and that is Giovannis Room by James Baldwin. Oh my goodness, this is the last book in here that I really just would want to also talk about the writing in. It's just something so amazing. The characters and their moral ambiguity are so interesting to me. This book is everything. It's heart-wrenching, it's so lovely, it's so frustrating, it's everything. This is set in the 50s in France, and it follows our main protagonist, David. It's like in his point of view as he meets Giovanni, and they kind of end up in this relationship, and it kind of just goes from there. And from the beginning, you just know that something goes terribly wrong. That's all I really want to say. Going into this blind really just made my reading experience all the better, because I was just so taken by this book, and just knowing that something goes terribly wrong, you're kind of just sat there wondering like what happens. Once it all kind of comes together, you're really just left either like in tears or just in utter awe. I had no words to explain this and how I felt about this initially, so I had to wait a while before writing my review on this. I did write a review on this on Goodreads, as with I think only The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. I don't think I wrote a review for any of these other ones, just because I usually no thoughts, head empty. But this one, I was able to put into some words what was going on in here. And again, there are some content warnings for this you may want to look up. I don't think it's as heavy content warning wise as The God of Small Things, but this is still a very heavy on the soul book. This was my first Baldwin novel or book, and I am very intrigued to read more, so I can't wait to dive more into James Baldwin's work. Since I did accidentally finish one of my Pride Month reads, I do want to start Cemetery Boys today by Aiden Thomas. This book follows our main character. I don't know his name, but he is a trans guy, and his family does not believe that he can be a true brujo, so he wants to prove this to them, and somehow he manages resurrecting the town bad boy, and I believe they have to go on some sort of adventure as to figure out why or how he got killed or who killed him, something of that sort, and they go on some sort of misadventures together, I believe. That's all I really know, but got some trans rap in here, so I can't wait to dive into this one. Yes, so that is everything that I read this month. A total of 12 works, because the poetry collection and then that one thing that wasn't a novel, the nonfiction. And that is a all-time high for me, I believe. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my rambliness and lack of understanding of everything I read this month. Yeah, until we hang out next. Bye! Today we're going to go through my March wrap-up. Now, I have beef with Robert, let me tell you. So, this is my favorite podcast of all time. Well, this book is not my favorite podcast. Okay. That's upside down. Because James Baldwin in this, he turned it out. Nope, delete that.